This episode brought to you by TAUMMHOMS, which is a natural sleep and sound healing portal helping people globally to get to sleep faster and stay asleep longer through TAUMMHOMS.com. That's www.TAUMMHOMS.com.
It's My Right Stuff with your host, Grammy Award-winning record producer and inventor, Toby Wright. My Right Stuff is brought to you by TAUMMHOMS, a natural sleep and sound healing portal available globally at www.taummmhoms.com. That's www.TAUMMHOMS.com. And I'm your announcer, Grinnin' Barrett. Here's Toby.
Hey, I'm Lord Toby Wright, and this is My Right Stuff News. Welcome to My Right Stuff News. Let's get it going with the music news. Well, Korn released Requiem, their 14th release. Requiem follows Korn's critically acclaimed 2019 release, The Nothing. And Korn changed the world with the release of their self-titled debut album, as well as their biggest selling record, Follow the Leader. The band has continued to push the limits of rock, alternative, and metal genres while remaining a pillar of influence for legions of fans and generations of artists around the globe. And 4 is the 4th studio album by Slash, featuring Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators, and Slash's 5th solo album overall. It will be the first album from the new Gibson Records label. The album was produced by country producer Dave Cobb in Nashville. Well, Give Me the Future, Bastille's wildly ambitious new album, is a tribute to tech times and a glimpse of what could be to come. Exploring both the opportunities of new technology and the dark side of lives lived online, it's as playful as it is thought-provoking, as dystopian as it is dance floor friendly, and as electronic as Bastille have ever been. Sounds really interesting. Let's go on over to film and TV news. Well, season 25 of South Park premiered this week. It was announced last August that show creators Trey Stone and Matt Parker signed a new deal with Viacom CBS for $900 million running through 2027. And it includes a multi-seasonal renewal of the animated comedy series at Comedy Central, as well as 14 original South Park hour-long movies for Paramount+. 14, that's crazy. Well, season 2 of Raised by Wolves premieres on HBO Max. 2 androids are tasked with raising human children on a mysterious virgin planet as the human colony threatens to be torn apart by religious differences. The androids learn that controlling the beliefs of humans is a treacherous and difficult task. Yeah, we know, don't we? Come on now. Reacher premieres on Amazon Prime. When retired military police officer Jack Reacher is arrested for a murder he did not commit, he finds himself in the middle of a deadly conspiracy full of dirty cops, shady businessmen, and scheming politicians. With nothing but his wits, he must figure out what's happening in Margrave, Georgia. My Best Friend Anne Frank is on Netflix, based on the real-life relationship between Anne Frank and Hannah Goslar from Nazi-occupied Amsterdam to their harrowing reunion in a concentration camp. The family adventure movie, The Wolf and the Lion, has its limited theater release. After the death of her grandfather, Elma decides to go back to her childhood home, a little island in the heart of a majestic mountain range. There she rescues 2 cubs, a wolf and a lion. An inseparable bond is formed, but their world is flipped once a forest ranger discovers them and takes the animals away. Now the cubs must journey across the wilderness to be reunited once more. Well, I hope they make it. All right, let's go on over to the world of sports. Well, this past weekend, Helio Castroneves held off Ricky Taylor to win Rolex 24 at Daytona. which is a season opener of auto racing, in case you didn't know. And if this is any indication of things to come this year, stay tuned, because it's going to be a very exciting year, because it was a very, very exciting race. Well, today, the 24th Winter Olympic Games opens. They are scheduled to take place from the 4th to the 20th in Beijing and venues near the neighboring towns of Yanqing and Kongli in China. All right, on over to Gear and Tech. Well, as a nod to last week's guest, General Motors Vice President Ken Morris, we wanted to take a look at the Cadillac prototype that was presented at the CES show 3 weeks ago. Cadillac may be known for SUVs and super sharp performance sedans these days, but back in the day, the brand was known for its giant, elegant coupes, two-door personal luxury cars that represented the epitome of style and coolness. The Inner Space. It's a concept car, and it's a throwback to those coupes of yore. A massive, sleek machine designed to transport two people in absolute comfort. And of course, it does so with a couple of futuristic twists. It runs on GM's Ultium electric vehicle platform, and it's designed to be fully autonomous, so you can concentrate on the view. Well, let's face it, the giant entertainment screen spanning the whole front dash. Don't expect to see it reach production anytime soon, but do expect some design cues to make their way to future caddies like the flagship Celisse coming in 2023. Well, that's all the news that's making the news this week here at My Right Stuff, February 4th, 2022. Now over to you, Lord Rage. Hey, and welcome back to My Right Stuff, which is a film, TV, sports, music, and adventure lifestyle podcast. I'm your host, Lord Toby Wright, and on today's podcast, we have some very, very special guests, Kristen Celisse and Jason Barrett of Celisse's School of Equestrian Arts and Equestrian Chaos. Celisse's School of Equestrian Arts is a nonprofit therapeutic horse riding school specializing in exciting new techniques for horse therapy. Equestrian Chaos is an action-packed live stunt troupe specializing in horseback archery, trick and Roman riding, and stunts for film and TV. After our interview, we'll be treated to an exclusive performance from Equestrian Chaos, so please stay tuned for that. And that promises to be very, very exciting. But first, a big thank you to all of you who stream, download, watch, and support My Right Stuff. Keep spreading the word. I really, really do appreciate it. Be sure to click on our show notes below and follow our link tree for a full list of all the channels we are streaming on, as well as our sites and social media platforms. Also, if you're able, please follow our support link to donate to My Right Stuff. Every single dollar helps My Right Stuff crew who make all of this possible. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as the podcast channel of your choice so you never miss a single episode. We recently opened an online store where you can get custom designed apparel. So please head on over to My Right Stuff and go to the store tab and pick up some snazzy merch for those bodies. Well, today's guests are Kristen Celisse and Jason Barrett, who manage and operate all aspects of both Celisse's School of Equestrian Arts and Equestrian Chaos. They each wear many, many hats in order to accomplish all the work that needs to be done. They also have an incredible team of friends, family, and volunteers that have assisted along the way. Kristen's background with horses and Jason's background with the special needs community helped to build Celisse's School of Equestrian Arts, while Kristen's passion and talent for performing with horses developed Equestrian Chaos. They operate the school out of Mobile, Alabama, and take Equestrian Chaos on the road around the country to thrill crowds and spread the awesomeness of the work done at Celisse's School of Equestrian Arts and other therapeutic horseback riding centers. Helping people heal with horses is the backbone and heart of their work, and they strive to make an impact at every location that Equestrian Chaos performs. Hey there, guys. How's it going today?
Hey, Toby.
Hey, it's going wonderful. Thanks for having us.
Glad to be here.
Thank you, and I'm glad to have you guys. And I'm really intrigued about this trick riding. It has me fascinated. And do you both perform in the shows?
It depends on the show and the situation. So mainly it's an all-female trick riding troupe, but once in a while we get a call and they need, we'll need a guy to step in and do some epic stuff. So Jason will jump in when he needs to, and he's been part of the show. He's jousted before. He's done some trick riding with us. He's done some mounted archery, but mainly he makes all the ladies look really good.
Yeah, right. That's sort of something. The girls are incredible. They blow things out of the water. I do the simple stuff. You know, I MC the event. I handle all the backstage equipment. I can ride. I've picked up a few things along the way, so I can do a handful of tricks myself, but I don't compare to these ladies. Not at all.
I gotcha. Well, man, so from the little pictures that I've seen and the little video that I've seen of you guys, it's incredible. So what skills do you each bring to the table?
We all bring different skills. So my background, as far as my skill, my strong suit is the creativity behind the team.
Okay.
I train all the girls for the stunts that we perform. I'm the one that figures out how to execute the stunts and come up with the routines and pick out the music that we use. We all have different strong suits. Some of us can do different tricks than others, whether it's based on body type or our strengths, flexibility, weaknesses, whatever we have to go through that moment in time.
I see.
Jason, on the other hand, he brings all of the effects, the lighting, the sound. He puts it all together and he makes it all happen for us. So he's a huge, important part of our process and what we do.
Yeah. So Kristen brought in the big picture. Kristen brought the horses. I mean, I wasn't involved with horses before we met. You know, she was a great performer already when we met at the time, and has grown incredible since then. But yeah, so she brought the horses into the mix. And as far as the school goes, I started with working with special needs groups when I was young, 12 years old. And I've had that as a part of my life since that time. So with her talent with the horses and the training and my connections with the special needs community in town here, it just was a perfect fit. We were able to do that, set up a therapeutic riding center that helps, at our peak, we were helping 600 to 1,000 people, depending on how many people saw the shows. But in real life, we put over 600 people on our horses every year, children and adults with special needs and room to grow and heal and get better. So we've done that for quite a while. And during that time, like she was saying, we've built a troop of incredible riders. I mean, these girls that ride, we've had a couple guys over the years, but the girls love the horses, man. That's just how it is.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, they are something else. And we've grown them from children to adults now in college, and they are ready to get out there, kick some butt, perform, incredible. And it's all been under her tutelage. She's trained every single one of the horses, every single one of our riders, including myself. So yeah, that's kind of the his and hers of what we do.
Excellent. So on this podcast, I like to take it back to the beginning so our audience has a little history. So how'd you both come together?
Well, it started one evening at a time clock. Actually, it did. We met at the Dixie Stampede, Dolly Parton Stampede, over 16 years ago now. I was actually out at the time he started at the show. Those of you who don't know what the Stampede is, it's a dinner show, kind of like medieval times. And it shows a bunch of specialty acts. They do trick riding, Roman riding, horse stunts, and drills. And then the second half of the show is a competition. And so they divide the audience half and half in the arena. And they also serve dinner. So Jason was a server in the show. And I was just coming back from an injury. And that's how we met.
So she had been in Florida, and she started performing there with the Dixie Stampede and was killing that. And then she sustained an injury that I'm sure we'll discuss in just a minute. And
sure.
Kind of an adventurous injury. And so anyway, that's kind of how it met. I was actually moved from New England area to Florida at the time. I'm a Alabama raised, but I lived in New England at the time, moved to Florida to pursue massage. I was planning to jump on cruise ships, travel the world, and see what life laid in store. So while I was down there, I started working at the Dixie Stampede. And like she said, she was walking out of the door, and I was punching out the time clock, and I couldn't help but notice her, obviously. And she decided to be cute, stop and say hi. So that was about it. And then she disappeared. She disappeared for a couple of weeks, and I was like, oh, what's going on? And when she showed back up, she had a injury that we'll discuss in a minute to her knee. And I happened to be a massage therapist. So I asked her if she was aware of cross fiber friction.
That was his
and
pickup line.
That was my line, and I nailed it. So I put a little therapy on her knee, and the rest is, as I say, history. A big history, but it's a.
So let's hear about this injury, and then I want to know what is cross fiber.
Okay.
What is that? What did you say it was?
Get into that. Cross fiber friction. It's just a massage technique you use to work on tissue.
Okay.
So the injury.
Yes.
It all started with a 350-pound bird. In the Stampede at the time, we had an event that involved ostrich racing.
Oh, okay.
And I was racing an ostrich. And this particular incident happened to be a rehearsal, thank goodness. And any people that work around those types of birds know and have an understanding of how dangerous they truly are, and how strong they are. Their legs are incredibly strong.
Fastest bird on earth.
Fastest
bird.
Yep.
So they got a strong leg.
And my leg got caught between. I was riding the bird, and my leg got caught between the bird's legs as I came off, and I tore 3 ligaments in my knee instantaneously.
Wow.
So I tore my ACL, my LCL, and meniscus, and spent quite a long time, over a year, learning how to walk again.
Oh man, I bet.
That was a tough one.
Yeah, I didn't know you could ride an ostrich.
Well, when I started,
a lot of people say that.
Yeah, I didn't know I could either until I got to the Stampede.
Probably not the best thing to do all the time, considering, but it's a heck of a ride.
Okay.
It was wild.
And so
she had a little time off there. She was injured or had been recovering from that for a while. And then when we met again at the Dixie Stampede and we saw her, she was having a lot of trouble regaining full extension of her leg through her knee. She hadn't actually been able to extend it all the way out yet. And as I was mentioning, that cross fiber friction, it's just a measure of massage technique where you don't use oil. You stay in one position on the skin and you move the skin to its fullest distance, just in the place that you could hold. So you're doing this motion, and you're pushing that connective tissue to its fullest extent so that as it heals, it can heal properly to the right lengths and things. So you break up the tissue a little bit like that. I mean, it takes consistent work and all that, but it landed me a hot wife who's incredibly talented. So I think it paid off.
I think it works. Yeah,
it works great.
So, guys, remember that cross fiber friction.
There it is. It works. So you're in the Dolly Parton's Dixie Stampede, right? And so what other shows have you performed in?
I've worked on Arabian Nights. Well, I didn't actually work in the theater show. They had a side touring show. They bought the right to Walter Farley's Black Stallion, and so they called it the Black Stallion Literacy Project. And what they would do is they would travel around the country, and they would bring the Black Stallion to an arena where schools would come in and watch a shorter version of what Arabian Nights was. Okay. So, and they would have their Black Stallion books, and we would, at the end of that, they would meet the Black Stallion, and then they would sign autographs. And so that's the work I did with Arabian Nights. That was a really neat project to be part of. And then I've worked with Austin Anderson and the Texas Trick Riders. Okay. He's based out of Troop, Texas. Fabulous group of people. And I've also worked with another company called Cavallo Equestrian Arts. And they are a circus troupe that is based out of Mayaca City, Florida.
Yeah, nice. That's an incredible troupe. They're like 7th generation or something. I don't know, a lot of generations of circus performers. And those guys are incredible. They do some neat stuff. So when I met Kristen, she was actually training and working with those guys a good bit and outside of Dixie Stampede. And man, that was a cool experience to get to see that old school development. They were really into their horses, really, all about their training and stuff. So she picked up on that right away. And that was a big bonus to the training she had at Dixie Stampede. And so, it was pretty cool. Since then, we've done a lot of shows on our own in different places for the Equestrian Chaos. We've worked with other troops. We worked in Tennessee with the Murfreesboro area up there. We did a show at one of the big horse events they had. Right. So, it's been exciting. Yeah, and the troops, the groups we get to work with are so cool. I mean, we do some really neat stuff, and the people we meet are always entertaining and always talented, and so it always kicks your game up a little bit more when you get to work with a new troop.
Right. So, what made you want to start your own equestrian show? I
missed it. I missed it like crazy. Working
Okay.
in Central Florida, we were fortunate enough to work among 3 great equestrian dinner theaters within a 5-mile radius. So all the people that I worked with in Florida, we'll maybe back up, we decided to move to Mobile to raise our family when we found out we were having a kid. So that's what took us to Mobile. And I missed it so badly, and all of my peers, I just couldn't let it go. And so I decided, well, if I can't have what I had there, I'm going to try to create something here.
Okay, and fair enough.
That's how it began. And the first opportunity I had to perform in Mobile was at the camp that Jason grew up at called Camp Smile.
Oh, okay.
Camp Smile serves children and adults with special needs throughout our region, the Gulf Coast area, over 4 to 5 weeks during the summer. Well, when I was growing up, there were 5 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks over the summer. And so when we came back into town, I mean, her passion for riding and performing is 90% of her personality. I mean, that's where she needs to be. That's what drives her. So we, I said, well, what, we thought I wanted to go up there and introduce her to our home at camp and the people that I grew up with. And so she went up there, and they were super interested in trick riding, like everybody seems to be when they figure out what it is. And that's what she did. Went up there and did a solo show for the kids with Smokey Bear, our original horse we brought back from Florida, moved to Mobile with. Her main steed before me. And then, so she blew the kids and adults away. The camp staff all loved it. And the very next year, we got an offer to start running the camp program out there.
Excellent.
So that kind of opened up our work in the therapeutics. That's when we got back. She put on the show. It was awesome. They loved everything about it. And we had the skill set that could manage a program. We didn't know it, but we had the skill set that could manage a program that size. And they needed someone to take it over at the time. They were moving locations. So that's kind of where that happened.
Gotcha. So has being a couple helped in establishing the trick riding show and the therapeutic riding school?
Yes.
Absolutely. I love how we both pause.
Yeah. Let me
Depends
think about
on the day.
That. Yeah. Depends on whose opinion, too. Some people think we're absolutely insane. I mean, we literally spend pretty much 24 hours a day together, and that's been that way for the last – we just celebrated 10-year anniversary on September 3rd. So we've been together for 15 years, and of at least 10 of those years, we probably spent 24 hours a day together unless we were gone. Some people would say that's insane. We've made it work pretty damn well.
Yeah, considering.
That's all that counts.
Yeah.
But what's most interesting about all of this is, and what I think keeps us going, is we didn't expect for it to have the impact. Well, for me personally, I didn't expect for the trick riding to have the impact that it did. When I went to Citronelle, that was the last place that Camp Smile was held before I took over the program as horseback director. These kids were so blown away by the horse, just by the few tricks that I demonstrated. And at the time, there was another company that was running the therapeutic horseback riding program there. So I walked down to the end of the field after I did my little performance, and just to see the kids, see what they were doing on their horses and how they were riding. And as soon as I showed up, they go, "Kristen, look, I'm doing a trick, no hands." And they would let go of their saddles and throw their hands up in the air. And all of a sudden, now they're all showing me their tricks that they can do. And they were trick riders too. And that was really for me personally, it was my big aha moment to go, okay, there's something to this, because I just watched a bunch of children who were terrified of letting go. And then all of a sudden they see me stand up on a horse, and now they're now they are letting go and asking to stand up and do the same thing that they were once absolutely terrified of doing. So
that's great.
It really is. And it was really neat to see how the performing arts just made such a huge impact on their confidence and what they could do. Why are you laughing?
Because Styx is peeing in the background. Oh. You wanted horses, that's what you get. It's going to happen. There's a waterfall back there. I'm not sure if you can hear it over the drag racing, but
That's all perfect, my friends.
Okay.
This is what happens on the farm, right?
Yeah, right. That's the way it goes.
So you're one of the few people who specialize in the authentic equestrian battle archery. It's just really intriguing to me. So can you please tell me more about that?
Well, I'd love to. We shoot with Mongolian bows, or Korean bows, Mongolian bows. They are made for mounted archery. They're a little smaller than traditional long bows.
Okay.
Just as powerful and can shoot an arrow just as far. And what really got us started was I was flown out to LA to work with some of the guys that were on the TV show Westworld.
Okay.
And they wanted me to do a little clinic with them. And we've incorporated some battle scenes in our show before with some swords or some bow staffs, and never really did much with mounted archery.
Okay.
And I would do a little trick, just shooting off the side of the horse, nothing fancy, not even shooting at a target. And I went out to LA and worked with these guys, and I met a professional archer who actually rode a horse, was one of the Native Americans on Westworld.
Okay.
And he happened to see, he was putting on an archery workshop while I was there. So I definitely jumped in and wanted to be part of it. And that was my very first professional archery lesson. I showed him a small video of this little stunt that I did, shooting a bow off my horse in a trick. And he thought it was absolutely incredible and was the coolest thing he'd ever seen. And he called me a couple weeks later after I returned home and asked if he could sponsor Equestrian Chaos and if we could use his bows in our show.
Wow, awesome.
Yeah. And after that, he also asked me if we could possibly learn how to reenact the Game of Thrones Dothraki scene. When they come in, the Dothraki jump up onto their horses and they start firing arrows into the battle on the front lines.
It's like one of the coolest battle scenes since Braveheart. You know, I don't remember if it was the Battle of the Bastards or the other one, but they come charging in this big troop, and you see Dothraki soldiers standing up on their horse or kneeling on their horse, ready to pounce and invade. And so, you know, one morning while we're at camp, running this camp program, we thought, we'll get up early and give it a shot. And so her and Brooke get out there. I get the camera set up, and you know, within 25 minutes, they're running the scene, you know, on the fences. And so we sent it to Chris like that day. Chris Young is the archer, Hollywood archer that we met, that's become friends with us. And we sent him that scene. He was like, wait a minute, you already did this? You just did this? And we're like, well, yeah, you know, it's what it is. You know, rigged a little bid in the seat. So, yeah, someone that actually worked on set for that scene got in touch with Kristen later through social media and said, oh, look, you figured it out. What'd you do? So that was really cool. That was super awesome for her to get contacted from somebody on set.
It was actually, there's the Devil's Horsemen. They're from the UK, I believe. And the guy who runs it, his name is Daniel Fowler Prime. And I've talked to him over the last decade through social media. I've had a few chances where I thought I was going to Europe and I wanted to meet up with them and do some training. And he saw the video. And he was the one, he actually worked on Game of Thrones. His sister was the horse master for Game of Thrones. And he was the one that reached out and he said, you figured it out. And then he sent me a huge email on how they actually performed the stunt and the rigging that they used and how they put it all together for the movie.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah, they were pretty shocked.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a really...
Like, hey, could you do something like this? And then they just whip it out and it's done the next day. And it looks really cool, too. So that started really, you know, that was pretty early on. I mean, I think 5-6 years ago?
It was about
Chris?
It was about 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And so that little reel that we put together for Chris, for his bow company, was the motivation for us to really get our butts in gear, because those pictures and the video took a little bit of a viral turn, and all of a sudden we had international archers reaching out to us.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, languages we don't recognize the letters. You know?
We had people from Mongolia.
It was really cool. You know? Reaching out to see, you know, what we were doing, and it made it looked like we were way further ahead than where we actually were at the time. It's just a trick pulled out of a pocket, and we were practicing every day. Having a lot of fun with archery, and with that kind of notoriety, we were like, yeah, this is so much fun. This needs to be in the show. So we started working from there, and now it's a killer performance that I don't believe anyone else on the planet is doing right now.
So 6 years later, we are now known for our archery act, and we have shot. Since then, I can't tell you how many thousands of arrows.
We shot a lot of arrows.
And we've done, hundreds and hundreds of hours of training. And it was something we never anticipated taking off the way it has. And it's truly been a really great thing. And
so we're going full steam with it. When you're the best at something, you got to press it, and we have the opportunity right now with kind of the downturn of the economy and the things that have hit us pretty hard, that we have an opportunity to actually pursue it a little more, and maybe hopefully be able to fund this nonprofit program we've been trying to build for 13 years. We really want to keep it going.
Absolutely,
this is incredible. So we want to get out there and show people what we're doing.
Well, there seems to be a whole bunch of different facets to what you guys do, and I love all of them, right? And I have a couple of more questions about the Equestrian Chaos show, and then I have some other questions about the equine therapy. Awesome. Besides the archery act, what are some of the other acts that are in the Equestrian Chaos show?
We do a trick riding act. We do a couple versions of trick riding. We have one act that we are literally playing the game head, shoulders, knees, and toes with our audience members while we are in tricks, standing on running horses.
What's that game?
It's head, shoulders, knees, and
toes.
The
kid
game,
sing along game.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that one. Okay.
Yeah, that was one of the big hits. But they do it on a running horse in front of an audience in costume and get them to join in. So
nice.
It's cool. And hanging from a horse. You got a girl hanging from one leg, with her leg pointing up in the sky, her feet by the horse's hooves, still doing head, shoulders, knees, and toes along with the crowd.
Great.
That was a cool little act that we put in. We probably had, I think over the years, we've developed maybe 20 acts that have been in and out of our show,
Okay, that's great.
We have another act where we're Roman riding, where someone stands on two horses, 1 foot on the back of each horse, and they do a whole routine around tiki. We have tiki torches in our show where they split the torches and they'll canter around in the area and do different little tricks, go from one horse to the other horse.
Cool.
We had two girls doing that on 2 different teams of horses. So that was really neat. We've done bridleless work where I'll go out there on one of my horses and I perform a routine, and then I take the bridle off and do the same routine with no reins or bridle on the horse or reins in my hands at all.
Seemingly no control of the horse, but he's so well trained that the little subtle movements that she's taught him to do, she can get him to do what she wants without anything in his mouth or using any reins on his neck. That's always something that horse people really appreciate, because you have to. The horse needs to be very well trained and not to want to follow its own mind and go get some grass or do whatever it wants to do. So it took a while to train. One of my favorite oldies we used to do to Over the Rainbow. Of course, it's not quite the same now because our daughter was maybe three when she was performing this with us. So she would be standing up on her mama's standing on the horse. While her mom in matching costumes, and they go around the Cossack ring, which is it's a 42-foot circle that we perform in, kind of like a circus ring. Mm-hmm. And we had this big cloth rainbow that 2 girls on the outside were standing on their horses, rotating around the ring, while Kristen and my daughter Marley were inside the ring doing tricks underneath the rainbow. That's one we want to bring back. We haven't done it since then, and it looks a lot better with a 3-year-old. It's really cute. But
sure.
So yeah.
Love to see that.
There's a lot of acts we've done. What was that?
That's awesome. So I've heard a lot about equine therapy. How did you get started with equine therapy? And please tell us all what that is, because I don't know if my audience knows exactly what equine therapy is.
Yeah, gladly.
Go ahead.
We'll get started. So basically, when we mentioned Camp Smile, she put on that show, that kind of pushed us in that direction. When she saw the reaction of the children and adults that have special needs, physical and mental disabilities, they were enthralled by it, and it looked like a great motivator. So from there, we started running the camp program. And that first year we were out of camp. Now, these camps serve, 75 to 120 kids or so, children and adults.
Every week.
Each week. And when we started, we just did a couple of camps out there. By the time our camp season was at its peak, we had 7 direct weeks of camp with that many kids on our horses all that time. So we kind of moved straight into that. And that experience, those first couple years, really formed because prior to that, there was no real training for her part on working with special needs in horses. She just knew horses very well. I knew how to work with children and adults with special needs and how to train people to do that well. So we started. She started at first. I was working elsewhere. Then I came in later and kind of helped in. We did the training for the volunteers, and we really built it from a need that was there. There was no, it wasn't there. It wasn't in existence. And so we started that. And that grew huge. We saw what effects it had on such a short term for just a fun ride with kids and adults. And we were like, man, if you had some time to really put investment into it. So one of my mentors, Celisse Lowell, she was the director for Camp Smile at the time and numerous other. She's been in the industry for a while with the special needs, and she saw what it was, and she instantly worked out a thing with United Cerebral Palsy and Camp Smile to pay for Kristen to go to Equest, which is a therapeutic training facility in Texas, to do to be certified, so that she could apply for the insurance and really run this thing as a real program. And when she came back from that, we did a pilot program at our home in a lesson style with, I think, 8. We did 6. It was 6 weeks with 6 kids. Yeah, 6 weeks, 6 kids. It was free, completely free, and we used our connections to find people that could really benefit from it. And that's where we started. And in that group, we had so that was 13-ish years ago. And in that group, we still have 4 participants that regularly work with us. Like I said, this thing has lasted a long time, and we stick with our people. It's just they stick with us and we stick with them. So we've had kids in our program now since then that were in preschool that are now got a full ride to college just north of here a little while. And we have students that were Brooke is one of our employees, students, best friends, family. She's been with us since she was 10 training. She just graduated last year and did a killer internship actually with a horse boy facility. I know you spoke to Rupert before, and that was kind of how it's set up. So she's been with us from 10. She's a graduate from college now, and she's working. This is her passion. This is what she does. She went off and trained, and she's exceptional. So we've had that kind of come along with us. We've carried people through this show and them us. We've had friends and family that have helped make this possible all that time. It's pretty incredible.
So how is it exactly that horses help kids with disabilities? And I know the changes are magical. Yeah. So is there a way to explain how that works?
In so many ways, yes. We work with also adults too. So it works in the sense of you don't know what you can do until you have the opportunity to try it.
Okay, I'll go with that.
And I think where I thrive in this environment is when you come from a circus background, it's not so much of if you can do it. It's, of course we can do it. We may not know how to do it yet, but we're going to figure it out. So there's never a no, it's not possible in circus. Anything is possible in circus. So why couldn't we take this program and make it the same way? Whether we have to modify certain things or change our tools or maybe change our apparatuses to a different way. So that was the first part, is making something that people really wanted to do, whether it being, or they felt like they could do.
And it was exciting, when you get somebody up there, and from there we were like, well, why can't these kids perform as well? If we get them there, let's put them in the show, and eventually we'll get to that. Sure. That's where we went with it. And physically it has a huge impact on our riders. People that are physically impaired, for instance, with cerebral palsy or musculoskeletal conditions that don't allow for the range of motion that a normal human would have. So the gait of a horse actually helps to mimic. It's the closest mimic motion that the natural human gait has. So if you imagine a person with low tone and they can't move their leg, their hamstrings are really tight. It affects your pelvis. It affects your hips.
Your back.
your back is not going to do the same maneuver the same way if your hips move that way. So everything stacks up. So when you put that person on a horse, you can engage pelvic muscles they don't normally use. They may not even know they're using them, but the body's reaction to that movement on the horse strengthens. It extends the tissues and ligaments. It stretches them out. You'll put kids that are really drawn up on a horse, and their knees may be, normally your legs fall to the side of the horse. Sometimes their knees are still right up by their pelvis, on the very top of the saddle. By the end of the ride, when they get back, those legs are relaxed down. Now, that's a temporary thing in that moment, but over time, you get some serious changes. And there's a few examples of kids we'll tell you about as we go along where that has played a point. So that's the physical side of it. It gives them balance, strength, great posture development without it being work, without you being in a doctor's office and boring walls and pressing the same button over and over again. You're having fun with a living being that you can eventually begin to relate to. And that brings up the other side. There's the mental aspect of what horses do for people is amazing.
So just like circus, if you're not relaxed, you're not going to receive any information. So the first thing that the horses do is they tend to mentally relax our clients. Whether they are older or younger, it doesn't matter. They get around, they get on, and all of a sudden they go, oh, this is really nice out here. Okay.
Or their parents who just come to watch. We hear so many times, oh my God, I love being here. This place is so peaceful. And they bring a book out to sit in the yard and watch the horses, And
that's great.
And when you make physical contact with another being, whether it's when you hug somebody, that's therapeutic. There are things that happen in the body, and it releases oxytocin when you have physical contact. The same thing happens when you are on the back of a horse. When you are sitting on the back of a rhythmic horse, oxytocin will be released from the brain, which will counter the cortisol that a lot of these children on the autism spectrum that they battle with on a consistent basis.
And for those who don't know, just a little backup. So oxytocin is like a calming, relaxing hormone that's in your body, and cortisol is the stressor, the flight or flight hormone. Very useful if you're being attacked by a tiger, but not if you're sitting in your room just stressed out. You don't want that cortisol firing all the time. So instantly, just like dancing or making love or anything, that motion stirs up those feelings of and relax. The same thing happens when you're on the back of the horse. So not only are you getting a physical body thing, but you're getting an internal, pressure comes down a little bit. And for, like she said, with kids with autism or
people with
ADHD, anxiety, sometimes that cortisol is so peaked up in their body that it's just they're always on, And if you are stuck there, it's really hard to learn. It's really hard to control your thoughts and stuff like that. So the horses instantly tone that down. So they're able to actually learn some new things and pick up new techniques. And over time, it settles in and it becomes the person. You fake it till you make it. The horses help them push past that first stage where they may not have gotten anyway. So it's pretty incredible to watch that process happen. And then also just the honesty that you get with a horse, it allows room for growth. We have our masks and we have our life of struggle and challenges that, there's layers to us, and a lot of times that's very daunting for someone to try and piece through those layers to get to know somebody. And if you never try, you never will. So the horse gives you a starting place. The horse is going to be yes or no. I like that. I don't like that. I like you. I don't want it right now. That's going to be very specific. So those short bits of communication open up such a huge opportunity for growth. So when they get that feedback back, it's a little easier for the next feedback. So next time you ask them, they come out and they're stressed out and you say, hey, are you feeling more calm now? Instead of ticking or doing what they yes, good. Maybe you get that. Maybe that's the first sign that something's getting better. But I promise you, if you keep that up and the contact stays there, the training's good, people are passionate about what's going on, you see remarkable changes. Like the first time a kid tells their parents they love them, first time they play ball, all types of things that parents never knew their children could do.
I love it that that does happen because, horses are such beautiful animals. I love them myself. And to be around them every day like you guys are, I'm jealous. But I understand you have a very special student named Tim. Hi, Tim. How's it going, dude? So he has a traumatic brain injury, I understand, right? And so can you tell us how the horses and equine therapy have impacted Tim's life?
I believe they have saved Tim's life, to be perfectly honest.
Okay.
Tim, before he was a senior in local high school in Mobile.
Okay.
And he was the victim of a traumatic brain injury. When the football helmets, there was a big thing on the news for a while. Several football helmets came out defective. And he suffered a hit on the field that caused left-sided paralysis in his body.
Oh, boy, okay.
A little background to Tim, he was a senior then.
Yes, he was a senior. And
super ambitious.
Before he had his accident, he was also in the middle of cutting a record in a recording studio.
Okay.
And he was big into the performing arts. That we did not know about Tim when I first met Tim.
Right.
And so our first time meeting him was at Camp Smile. He came, it was almost a year after his accident. And that was the first time he had the opportunity to ever sit on a horse.
Oh, wow.
It took 6 of us to take a 200-something pound football player. He was on his way to pro. They had people looking at him. He was one of the top players at his school.
Okay.
And so I say that meaning he was a big dude.
Right.
And 6 of us having to put him on a horse and balance him was quite a task. And over the years, we started teaching him how to use the parts of his body that he had access to.
Okay.
Which was the right side of his body.
Yeah, for clarity, his injury caused him left side total paralysis. So he couldn't use his arm or leg on the left side. He wasn't able to walk. He was confined to a wheelchair to get around.
Wow. And
he had 0 trunk strength at all. So if you set him in a chair that didn't have arms, he's going to flop over. So on a horse that's moving, that was something we were well aware of that we'd have to compensate for. So when she says there's 6 people, just to paint the picture for you, which is what we do in our show with his act.
Okay.
We actually had a person sitting on the horse with Tim, holding him. Then we had someone on each side of the horse holding both of them up steady. And then we had someone leading the horse and another person on the ground just for safety, in case something needed to be done or changed or stuff. And that was Tim's first, year or so riding with us.
Okay.
So we met him at Camp Smile during that. It was a great place, to meet, to have an opportunity like this. And from there, we were like, because his spirit, like she mentioned, he was recording an album. At the time when we met him at camp, we realized what all he was into when he was knocked down.
Right, okay.
He was, for free, out of the joy of his heart, he did a puppet ministry with his church. He did miming. He did all kinds of stuff. He was a leader in some organization, social organization that he had that was related to fraternities and things. Just a really cool guy with an unstoppable spirit. I mean, we just saw this guy. We met him 8 months after the injury or something. I think he just come back from Atlanta getting some work done, and the dude's smile across the field. You could see him ear to ear, big cheesy white teeth, and just ready to go with life. 8 months after his whole life was turned upside down. So we were like, this dude, we're going to put whatever we can into Tim, and that's what we did for the next few years. And she can tell you the progress of how we went along with him from 6 people to where he came to.
So a big part of Tim, or a big part of Equestrian Chaos in our program, is that we also do stunt trainings for people in the film industry.
Okay.
And we have learned some of our skills from these professional Hollywood stunt performers.
Right.
And when we do clinics, we also allow the stunt performers that come in and train to volunteer with our special needs program.
Okay.
And so we had a stunt performer. His name's Eric Van Arsdale. He's worked in hundreds of
amazing guy,
Hollywood, hundreds of movies.
Okay.
And he actually was teaching us some bow staff work.
Oh.
Well, Tim came out for his lesson with us, and Eric started working with Tim. And so now all of a sudden, Tim is learning how to use a bow staff one-handed while sitting on top of a horse.
Nice.
And that gave Tim, not only did it was giving him physical therapy, but now he's feeling absolutely empowered. because now he feels like a warrior and not just some guy sitting on a horse just being led around learning how to balance again.
Right.
So as the therapy aspect, I did the range just to give some clarification. Prior to us working in these type of techniques with him, we put a Frisbee in his hand. And this is it. That's the motion you got.
Okay.
Now what we're talking about now is him taking a bow staff in his hand, spinning it around his back, under his arm, while he's riding on a horse, staring at the crowds, feeling like a boss.
Wow.
And that took amount of time, but those games and those techniques, they were fun, and he was all about it, and so it worked. And the horses just make it real easy. You know, the horses do all the work. We just kind of facilitate the magic, you know, with the things we know.
We find the things that they love, whether it's Tim and wants to be a warrior, or some kid that likes to destroy things. Sometimes they don't want to play the game. They want to knock everything over. Yeah. Fine, let's do it. We'll knock it all over. We'll destroy the whole arena. Yeah. As long as you're moving your body and you're having fun, then my job is I'm doing my job.
That sounds fabulous.
And so that's how, and that's how the arts and the Renaissance and the equestrian theater has become such a key to our program, because it gives everyone a chance to feel empowered in their own way.
Right. That's beautiful.
That's the key to what we do therapy wise. That's what I think our value is to other centers, because there's a lot of great centers and great people out there working with horses doing very similar work to what we're doing. We're just adding another element to it. Here, when you've reached your limit here, hey, here's a book full of things you can do that can extend your progress even further.
Right.
So we're hoping to put clinics together for other facilities and help showcase some of our students and some of our progress, and help other people do the same thing and pick up some tips and tricks of our own from everyone else.
Sure.
And the reason why this was also meaningful for me personally is because when I met Jason, I was overcoming a serious knee injury. And at one point, you know, when you tear your ACL, that's okay. I've done that. But when you tear 3 ligaments in your knee, and then you realize a year after your surgery, you're still not able to walk without aid or assistance, and you still can't straighten your leg, it becomes very disheartening.
Absolutely.
And it can become very depressing, and it sucks.
Yep.
And I know what it's like to have to learn to walk again. And so for me, I had to relearn a lot of things. I had to come out of my own mental funk that I was in from losing the abilities that I had.
Right.
I had to learn how to adapt my art so I could continue doing the thing that I love most.
Absolutely.
And along the way, Jason, we talked about the cross fiber friction. When we talked about the day one day he worked on my leg for over an hour, and it wasn't just a nice relaxing massage. It was some hardcore therapy massage, but it was the first time in over a year I was actually able to straighten my leg for the first time. And it only lasted about 15 minutes, but the relief that I got from that hour of torture opened my eyes to the human body and how amazing it is and how important our muscles are in general. And so going through all those experiences and being humbled by that experience, by my injuries, is the reason why, for me personally, I like doing what I do and showing these people that no, just because you're injured or because you're aging or because you have a disability, it doesn't mean you don't have 100 other abilities that you can do. You just maybe can't do this particular thing right now, but
you can't do it that way, but we can find a new way. You know?
We can adapt.
There's an opportunity until there's not. You know, you don't quit.
Exactly.
There's nowhere else to go, and then you just find something else to do.
That's right. So let's talk about you mentioned other therapies and other people doing stuff. And I had Rupert Isaacson on the podcast a while back, and let's just touch on your integration with Rupert a little bit. And then I understand you have a performance for us today, which I'm very, very excited to see. So let's talk about Rupert for a little bit and Horseboy and the Horseboy therapy, and then we can get into everything else.
I was asked by a few of my clients to start teaching, if I'd be interested in teaching them their children to trick ride. I had one little boy, his name is Rock, and he is the inspiration behind my contacting Rupert. But I worked with Rock when he was younger, and I met him out at Camp Smile. when we had Rock on the horses, he was doing great for the first few months. And then he started to become violent. He would start hitting himself. He would start hitting us, biting us, hitting the horses. And he was not happy. And I could tell he was not happy at all. And this kid, when you see him in his natural element, he is running around everywhere.
Ball of energy.
He is nothing but a ball of adrenaline and energy.
That's great.
So we stopped riding for a while because
it just didn't work
the
anymore.
riding was just him sitting
great.
on the horse and us going through the traditional therapeutic motions. It just wasn't enough for him. In the beginning it was, but 2 months in, it wasn't stimulating. And it started to bother me because I don't want someone to come out here with their kid and their kid to leave worse than how they came.
Absolutely.
And so the mom said, let's take a break. And we took a break for about 6 months. And she is, thank God, the mom actually is a professional dancer.
Okay.
And so she's very much into the arts and entertainment herself. And she asked me if I would be willing to teach Rock how to trick ride.
Okay.
And I have been waiting for the day that she asked me specifically to teach that child how to trick ride. He was the child that you had to call the fire department, literally call the fire department to get him out of a tree because he would climb up but couldn't get down. So
if he got off the horse, you better forget it. You better be a track sprinter
because he's going to run.
His butt is gone, and you got to get him.
Oh wow, okay.
So so before I started teaching Rock to trick ride, when Rock left me the first time, I couldn't touch him without him hitting or trying to bite me or anything. And I was thinking, oh crap, how am I going to teach this kid that I can't even touch how to trick ride? All right, but I'm stubborn, so I'm going to figure it out. And we sure enough did. And Rock went from being violent, impatient,
low attention span, not even 30 minutes in the class could be maintained without some fallout.
Anxious, to becoming one of our principal performers in our show, in front of lights and sound and audience, and waiting backstage for his part. He was asking to come out to ride. He was asking to learn stunts.
If you're a parent of someone with autism or have a relationship with autism, the things she just said aren't anything to just brush over. Waiting around for something is not an autistic trait. That's not something that's normally good. You gotta be doing something, going somewhere. Everybody's a little different, but there's generalities that fit. And Rock was not going to be waiting around for anything, but we put a show on with this guy now, and all the things they say autists can't have: bright lights, loud noises, lots of people. This dude gets out there and performs with equestrian chaos as a performer, as an equal. He gets out there under those lights, everybody cheering, music jamming, and he's standing on a horse showing off. He's doing his tricks on the side of a horse. Even in our big Christmas show fundraiser, he'd hurt his foot the day before. So he's out there, and this is, new things don't happen quickly and well generally for autistic folks. You got to have some prep. Changes in the schedule can throw things off. He comes out to the show full costume with a leg brace on and does his act.
That's great.
And I saw how life-changing it was for Rock. And then I saw how beneficial it was for a few of our other students. But Rock was the main reason why I reached out to the Horseboy Foundation. My background, I'm certified through Path International. And they are a very structured program. A great program, wonderful. I went through hundreds of hours of training with them. I've been with them for over a decade. But they have a standard that they have to follow. Circus work is not in their standard. And it's really not in a lot of people's standards for a medical standpoint or a therapeutic standpoint. It's very rare that you meet a physical therapist that has been a circus performer. So I could see these great results I was having with Rock, but I couldn't find anybody to listen to me or to even come out and watch him. So,
for instance, I'll give you one example so people can understand. Like I mentioned before, when Tim would ride, we'd have to have somebody on the back of the horse. We refer to that as back riding. So you have somebody actually on the horse with the person, helping them stay stable, helping them control the horse. That's considered a very risky thing to do to a lot of people. But for our work and our experience, it's key. And if you ask Rupert the same thing, it was key for him to be able to be up there communicating with his son and teaching the horseless at the same time. There's something magical about that when it's shared. So that's one thing that we were doing and Rupert was doing. We finally found a peer, but it's exciting how she met her in the first place.
So when Netflix came out with this documentary called The Horse Boy, and I saw this thing 10 years ago when it first came out, when it was a big thing, was a Sundance Film Festival winner. And I saw this, I watched his journey to Mongolia with his son. And I said, wow, okay. It spoke volumes to me, and I might sit here and cry talking about it. But he took this kid all the way to Mongolia, and to get to these shaman in Mongolia, it's not like you just hop on, the nice jet and you fly there, you get out on the runway and you're there. No, you're trekking through mountain terrain on donkeys, horses, in some very harsh environments. And this guy attempted it with his autistic child and his wife, who was not a horsewoman. So I had a lot of admiration for her to take this adventure. And the fact that he was willing to do that spoke volumes. And I said, okay, so every year I have to have continuing education hours. And I really wanted to pursue this trick riding thing. I wanted to talk to somebody about this and why it was working and why I'm having such success, not just with rock, but with several of my students, taking them through these techniques and exercises. I could find no one to listen. Everyone either thought I was reckless or I didn't know what I was talking about. And so I was getting really discouraged. And finally, I just happened to type in horse boy continuing education. Maybe, just maybe, there'll be something I can get a hold of this guy and I can
maybe there's
get
something
some
else
answers.
we can learn, have a peer that recognizes the work we're doing. Or whatever,
so I got online and did a search, and I found out now there's a Horse Boy Foundation. Oh, they do continuing education. Well, this is cool. I had no idea. So I wrote a long email, told them the work I was doing with rock, and I said, if this guy was crazy enough to take his family to Mongolia to find answers, I feel like this is the guy I need to talk to about my circus work because I need answers. And
Absolutely.
I sent out the email, and the next day I get a call from an international number, and it's Rupert Isaacson's voice on the other end of the line to explain to me for 2 hours the neuroscience behind the work I was doing.
So all that we spoke about earlier with the cortisol and the oxytocin and all that, it was apparent to see there was a change. We didn't know where that came from. He had already had, his wife was a doctorate and study. They'd already been through these studies in universities around the world where they actually showed that this process was happening. So we knew it worked.
Excellent.
We watched it work. We saw it. Didn't really know why. All of a sudden, this guy from Germany connects with her on a whim, and finally, we went to visit them in Texas and go see what they were doing and do a little bit of training. And he said, "Man, you guys already have the program. What you're doing is incredible. I've never seen this anywhere in the world. You just need to get your own programs going. Horse Boy is amazing, and y'all are doing a lot of the same work. And we can do the training, and we're going to build that up and hopefully grow it all together." But it was just amazing to finally find someone who spoke our language, the language we've developed over 10 years with these kids and adults and horses.
It's really hard because in our industry, you meet people that are either performers or you meet people that are horsemen or that are therapists. But to find somebody like Rupert, who is a horse trainer, who understands horses, and now who is made a huge part of his life work understanding the neuroscience of autism, for me, that was my golden ticket to put all of this work together, to finally find one person on this planet that understood exactly what we were doing and what was going on. And so when he said, please come out, meet us in Texas, and let's do some training together, there was no doubt. Okay, we're going. And
since then, it's been awesome. We've stayed in contact. Him and Rowan came down to our fundraising Christmas show in 2019 and made an appearance and signed some books. And Rowan it was really cool. And Rowan actually did a little bit of trick riding with us during the thing, and we let them introduce us on horseback. So we had the horse boy himself and his dad come out there, and Rowan stole the show, man. He did this whole sweet thing about his dad teaching him and how great it is to be autistic and know that he can still do other things. It was just cool as hell. And you see Rupert over there, he's just shut.
He's worthless.
Rupert doesn't shut up. He can talk for 10 years, and I'm done. He got a tear in his eye. Just all the feels, you know.
After Rowan spoke, Rupert was completely worthless on stage. He's like, I can't say anything else. I gotta go.
Yeah.
And he just crying his eye. I mean, it was so sweet to see all of that happen, and to see this son and father that I saw in a documentary 10 years ago, to see them on our stage. Yeah. And now Rowan being this advocate for kids for people with autism.
Yeah, he's out there doing the work. I mean, the guy that the story was about is now, you know, capable of doing things like that because his dad stood up and made something new for him. And we see hundreds of people who need that experience in their life. They're all over the place. The hardest thing for us is to go to some new place and have some parent come up to us and apologize, right, about their kid. They're like, oh, hey, I'm sorry. He's a little bit overactive, and sometimes he doesn't understand what you're saying. He occasionally hits himself or something. You know, they're embarrassed, and we know that. I've seen a million parents like that. Rupert knows that feeling experientially. And so to be able to look at them in the face and say, hey, guess what we do?
We're cool.
We can help you have some fun with this guy. Let's see what your kid's capable of. Let's see what we can do here.
Sure.
And so that's part of the road work. If we can get our show out on the road to meet these people and have those experiences, that's what we're going for.
And a lot of these children
that's
meet
a great
and
aim.
Adults, they are absolutely and they're brilliant people. They are absolutely some of the most brilliant people I have ever met. And they're just locked away in their own mind. And if you can be the one person to help bring them out and to show them what they're capable of, I mean, it really is amazing. And this was something that we never set out to do. We never thought it was going to be what it was. And I truly believe that we are part of a huge life-changing event that will be something huge in the future for this population of people, and really bringing the arts back into our culture the way it needs to be, because it is healing. There is something healing and sacred about dancing around a campfire and moving your body to music and to a beat and to a rhythm. And we've pushed the arts so far away from our own society that I believe it's the key of bringing people back to a healthier state.
Yeah. As a note of value too, it's not to be mentioned either. We're advocates for the horse. I mean, the horse has done so much for our civilization. And here we are 100 years removed and nobody knows how to ride one. People are scared of them, you know? So we want to make sure that people know that horses are still out here in the world and they are incredible. And there's a lot that they can still do to benefit all of us and make partnerships.
That's great. You know, you guys have been giving me the chills since, you know, you started talking about Rupert and bringing his son on stage, and man, just wah. So, man,
well, the best part was when I got to give
questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, are you breaking up a little bit?
I just have a couple more questions.
Oh, you were breaking up. Go ahead.
Are you there? So I just have a couple more questions. So what's next for Equestrian Chaos and Celisse's School of Equestrian Arts?
Well,
did you hear me?
We're taking Equestrian Chaos right now on the road. Yes. Yep. Can you hear us?
Okay. Yes.
Can you hear us? Okay. Right now, we're trying to take Equestrian Chaos on the road. We are trying to share the work that we have done for over a decade, and we use our performances, our stunt performers as the attention getter. Hey, check this out.
Okay.
We do our stunt show, and then now let's tell you about the other side of what we do. And so we're trying to be on the road advocates. What's next for Celisse School of Equestrian Arts? We are hanging on.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a tough road, you know, with everything. One, we've been at this 13 years, so there's a natural progression where our horses are aging, ourselves are aging. You know, there's there's a natural progression that's happened to a very intensive work. I mean, I don't know if you know the temperature down here, but during the summer for 7 weeks, it's 100 degrees every single day. And we were rocking that for 9 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours a day for the last 10 years. So there's a lot of wear down that's happened. We need to kind of regroup some things. But right now we've got a primed up performance troop. The horses that are doing it know what they're doing. The girls are incredible. It's really awesome. So if we can get that out there, we're going to do state fairs. We're going to do Renaissance fairs, do private corporate events, trainings, clinics. We're available.
Okay.
We can get out there and make some great things happen. By doing that, we hope to raise the money that we need to keep this incredible program going. I mean, we have the staff and volunteers that we could press the button tomorrow. If we had the money, we could run our program here and be the advocates on the road for everything we've talked about. But we've got to find that funding. And I think we're in a small town down here. If we can get out and spread the word, we're going to find what we need to make this thing happen. I know we will.
That's fabulous. And here on My Right Stuff, I'd love to help you spread that word for real, because I love what you guys are doing.
That's right. That's right.
And, I'm very, very keen to it. So especially, helping people that are less fortunate than ourselves. That's, what I'm all about, and inspiration. So I have one more question. And here on My Right Stuff, I like to ask all my guests about a hidden talent. So we all have them. And, being a circus performer, maybe, you've showed off a little bit of your hidden talents, but maybe you have something else that you'd like to share with our audience. So each one of you, do you have a hidden talent, and what might it be?
Man, we live kind of wide open. All our stuff is out there, but hidden talents. We both play are musicians. She's a little more skilled and trained than I, but we play guitar. She plays flute. Our daughter is an incredible pianist, already at 14.
Excellent.
And an equestrian, everything else. So we spend a lot of time just being an exciting family. We're up for adventures and outdoors, and I don't know. We kind of put everything out there. We try not to hide anything.
See, usually I use the ostrich as my hidden talent, but since we talked about that in the beginning, I can't pull that one out of my hat.
Right.
So, but I mean, I'm a painter also. I mean, I've worked as a professional artist at different times in my life, but nothing like truly. I'm not a Picasso.
I guess there's one thing we can kind of relate. I mean, you're an incredible producer. I mean, you produced a couple of the albums that I loved the most when I was growing up, and so you've been in that rock and roll lifestyle stuff. And what it is to perform for someone, those people firsthand. When we get out there and perform, there's something magic that happens inside of you when you're really thrilling a crowd. So that might be the hidden talent that because we haven't been on the road long doing this. We're ready to really punch it out. And every time we get out there, it gets bigger and better. And the crowds and the audience are all about it. So maybe we've got more of a hidden performance talent that's yet to come out. And we'll be happy to demonstrate on the road.
I really want to see that. And that's fabulous. Thank you very much. Well, I want to thank Kristen and Jason for taking the time to be on this episode of My Right Stuff. I know you need to go and get ready for the performance that you're going to grace us with. So thank you again. I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to this performance.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. There, I'd love to. I can't wait to see it. I'm all eyes, man. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to direct your attention to the Cossack Ring, where we will be treated to a special performance by Equestrian Chaos. Won't you please join us?
All right, My Right Stuff. Toby, man, we got to say appreciate it very much for being out here and letting us be on your show. Fantastic to get the word out. Your show's awesome. But as you can see, we've got an awesome show coming too. We've got the Warriors of Equestrian Chaos warming up now. Today we're going to put on an awesome little production for you. It's a great timing. We're preparing for our show at the Brevard Renaissance Festival coming up January 22nd, 23rd. We'll be down in Melbourne, Florida. Can't wait for that. It's going to be a killer show and an awesome festival. They've already had great numbers showing up,
and lots of really cool acts down there, so we're going to be one of them. But right now, I'm going to get out of the way and show you a little bit of this warm-up, and then in just a few minutes, we'll get started with the show. All right, man, here we go.
Gathered from across the realm, the warriors of Equestrian Chaos have made it here today to this Brevard County Renaissance Festival to demonstrate their skills with the bow and their prowess on horseback. Now, presenting Equestrian Chaos. First on the field, the Lady Lane. Then we have the Lady Alexis aboard Rafiki. And finally, our leader, the Lady Celisse, riding on Romeo. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the warriors of Equestrian Chaos. The Lady Alexis makes it easily from the ground back to her horse. And now in formation, they start their pinwheel ready to shoot off the next warrior. And it's the Lady Celisse. The youngest of our troop, the Lady Lane. The warriors of Equestrian Chaos, the Lady Alexis, the Lady Celisse, and the Lady Lane. That's right, the ladies of Equestrian Chaos are preparing for their archery act. First out of the gate, the Lady Lane. Our archers stay on the ready and are able to shoot from both sides of the horse. Watch now as the Lady Alexis aboard Rafiki takes her aim.
Anywhere on the battlefield you are in danger, these warriors know how to hit the target. The lady, Celisse. And now, as mentioned, the youngest of our troop. Look now, the Jamaki shot. A skilled shot indeed by the lady Celisse. All of these warriors are trained on both the left and right side and in every form of the archery shot. And now the lady's ready, a team maneuver. And now you've witnessed the archers of Equestrian Chaos. That's right. Coming to the finale, Equestrian Chaos' very first live performance for podcast. Here we go. And first on the scene is the Lady Lane, pulling her arrows from the ground. And there, the lady Celisse takes her arrow from the ground and makes a shot. And now from the left hand of the horse, the Lady Alexis. Weapons from the ground into the enemy. Ah, the Dothraki stance! Made famous in the Battle of the Bastards. From the neck of her steed, the Lady Alexis takes aim. And now, the Lady Celisse, daring as she is, takes to one leg hanging from the horse to make shot. Oh. There she is, the Lady Celisse. From the ground to the sky, our warriors are ready to defend this realm or any other. The Lady Lane takes to the clouds. Ladies and gentlemen of podcast world, Equestrian Chaos. Big thanks to my Wright stuff and Toby. Much love. All right, we've got a second with the leader of this pack, the Lady Celisse herself. Let's not forget Romeo. Handsome man. Look at that guy. All right, my lady. Whoa, there you are. Hey. It's pretty awesome to get on this podcast, right? Have a chance to show everything off.
Thanks for having us.
When we're traveling and blowing people's minds with Equestrian Chaos, what's the purpose of it? What are we out there to do?
We are trying to bring awareness to the relationship between horses and humans and all the amazing things that we can do with them, while bringing our mission of the healing power of horses along with us when we're on the road.
That's right. So we take the opportunity, anytime we go anywhere and book a show, we're looking for therapeutic facilities. We're looking for people living in the special needs community with children, adults that have families that are in that community and would like to experience horseback riding. We're looking to find them and help them understand exactly what's amazing about these animals and how they help humans heal. So that's what we're out on the road trying to do. And by the way, we're going to kick a lot of butt on the way and make a whole lot of fans. So thanks for having us, Toby. Much love to you and my Wright stuff. Can't wait to do it again.
Peace out.
Oh, I see another warrior. We have the Lady Alexis. Also goes by Brooke, who is one of our ace in the hole people. She's been with us for so long. She rode with us as a child. She's volunteered with us as a young adult. And as an adult, an accomplished adult who's now a therapeutic recreational specialist, she's with our school trying to promote the work we've been doing for 13 years now. Brooke, what do you got to say about this show?
Oh man, I've been with the show since I was little bitty. It's grown so much and I'm so proud to be a part of it. I've put my blood, sweat, and tears into this and I decided to make it my career. So I went to the University of South Alabama and I just graduated this year, and it really feels awesome to be able to go and do this on the road now that I'm not in school. It's a great adventure to embark on as I start my career.
Heck yeah, she's been awesome at it. You'll see her kick butt all the time. Her and Rafiki. Hey, let's give Rafiki some props. There he is, the big Rafiki. Yeah, they're awesome. She's all over that horse shooting arrows and doing a killer job, and she's incredible working with those with the special needs population generation, people in general. She's really developed some skills over years to help people enjoy horses and get stronger. We love her. We're glad to have her, and she's gonna be rocking this country with us.
I can't wait to help more people out on our road and our travels.
Heck yeah, we're gonna find as many people as you can. Equestrian Chaos out. Ow! Oh, the last of our warriors is approaching. Though she be little, she is fierce. Ta-ta! There she is. That's Marley Boo. That's mine. She's the youngest of our troop at a mere 9 years of age. Just kidding. She's a little older than that, but she is killer. Look at her. This is her on Guinness, rocking the house. Now, she's been performing since she was basically in utero. Her mom had her on a horse while she was pregnant, and every day since then, I think. It's been a lot of them. But Marley, what does it feel like to have the most incredible mother on the face of this planet?
It's awesome. I aspire to be her every day.
Oh, listen to that. Oh, mama, we got this on tape, baby. We got it on tape. But it is pretty cool. You got a different life. You're homeschooled. You're on the road traveling with your family. You're getting to meet people all over the world. What do you think about that opportunity?
It's one of a kind, and it's awesome. It's great to be able to experience it every day.
Yeah.
When I know others don't.
Yeah.
Stuck in a classroom.
It's a pretty nice way to live your life. We're enjoying it. Marley also volunteers with all of our programs, working with the special needs. She leads some of those programs. She's great at collecting donations, which are very much needed. We got to keep this thing going. We got a lot of people to help and a lot of places to go. So give us a big help. Thank you again. Toby, you're the bomb. My Right Stuff. We love it. Peace out.
Wow, that was really incredible. I loved all the stories and learning about Celisse's School of the Equestrian Arts and Equestrian Chaos. All the amazing things that you're doing with equine therapy. And man, that trick riding is certainly insane. I love it. Well, thank you once again to my guests, Kristen and Jason of Celisse's School of Equestrian Arts and Equestrian Chaos. Do you suffer from insomnia, depression, or anxiety? Well, my sponsor, TAUMMHOMS, may help you in these areas. TAUMMHOMS, it's a natural sleep and sound healing portal, helping people globally to get to sleep faster and stay asleep longer. You can find this piece of gold at TAUMMHOMS.com, which is www.TAUMMHOMS.com. And remember, we now have our very own My Right Stuff store. So please head on over to myrightstuff.com, click on the store tab, and pick up some hot merch and snazzy garb for those lovely bodies. Remember that we have a special edition t-shirts. Grab your favorite, let that guest know how much you love them. And if you tag us in a picture of you wearing any of our swag, or on Facebook or Instagram, we will mention you in one of our episodes. So please be sure to subscribe to My Right Stuff on YouTube and your favorite podcast channel so you never miss an episode. I hear it'll also give you 10 years good luck. Ring that bell for those notifications. Well, this has been another exciting episode of My Right Stuff. Be sure to tune in next week and every week for yet another informative and adventurous episode. I'm your host, Lord Toby Wright, and remember to always listen loud, play hard, and keep reaching for your dreams. Good night.
Thank you for watching My Right Stuff. This episode was brought to you by TAUMMHOMS, a natural sleep and sound healing portal available globally at www.taumms.com. That's www.taummmhoms.com.